Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moment. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of The Great Ruler Season 2 Part 8 based on novel. So let's start. As the heaven and earth trembled, the formerly clear sky instantly turned dark. Even the spiritual energy between the heavens and earth sensed the horrifying taste in it and started to escape from this region. Within the mountain range, an endless amount of spiritual energy trembled, issuing a mournful shriek. The divine black thunder Tribulation was extremely fearsome for a spiritual beast. The Tribulation could allow them to evolve after the long cultivation, but it also made them feel extreme fear. Muen stood on the mountain peak as his mountain stared gravely at the heavens. The black thunder clouds constantly gathered and took form with a black light flickering within them. The extremely violent lightning energy couldn't be properly described. Even the 8th level of the lightning territory wasn't as frightening as it. This was the genuine annihilation energy that originated from the heavens and earth. Under the terrifying thunder clouds, the 9 netherbird flapped its wings as its enormous body was ablaze with black flames. Under the heat of the black flames, even the temperature in the nearby surroundings had risen. Every time the 9 netherbird flapped its wings, it swept out a blazing gale that engulfed the heavens and earth. The 9 netherbird issued a clear and bright cry. Its pupils were blazing with black flames as it looked at the constantly forming black thunder clouds with an unyielding intent. It had already been defeated twice. If it didn't possess the bloodline of the undying bird, it would have been reduced to ashes by the Tribulation. However, even if it had failed twice, it still refused to admit defeat. It was the prideful 9 netherbird, possessing the bloodline of the undying bird. The 9 netherbird wanted to become the most powerful divine beast between these heavens and earth. Therefore, it had to succeed in its evolution at all costs. The 9 netherbird issued a clear cry, and flapped its huge wings as it issued a challenge to the Tribulation, once again, and, this time, it will not be defeated. Rumble. The constantly forming Tribulation seemed to have sensed the challenge from the 9 netherbird and, in an instant, the black thunder clouds wiggled along with a formidable might that swept out. More and more frightening lightning energies were being gathered in the thundercloud. Rumble. The thundercloud was abruptly torn apart and the world had gone silent. A huge black lightning bolt struck down with its annihilating power as it aimed at the 9 netherbird. The 9 netherbird issued a cry, flapped its huge wings as the black flames that filled the sky surged out, and turned into a black flaming tornado that clashed with the black thunder. A huge cry resounded as the lightning and black flames clashed together and abruptly swept out. The surrounding mountain peak seemed to have been instantly leveled. Muen landed on the ground as he watched the clash with worry filling his eyes. Back in the northern spiritual realm, he had already witnessed the clash between the 9 netherbird and the black lightning once before. And now, whether if it's the 9 netherbird or the Tribulation, both were clearly more powerful compared to back then. This divine black thunder Tribulation seems to get stronger along with the strength of the life form that's undergoing the Tribulation. Muen fell into his thoughts. No wonder it was the necessary step that a spiritual beast had to go through in its path of cultivation. Under the divine black thunder Tribulation, who knows how many powerful spiritual beasts had been annihilated. In the first confront, the 9 netherbird did not fall into a disadvantage. However, Muen was clear that this was just the beginning. Just when this thought flashed through Muen's heart, the divine black thunder Tribulation was completely formed up on the horizon. Frightful heavenly might was spreading as it started to show its ferocity. Boom! Boom! When the heavens and earth had darkened down, the Tribulation wiggled as a huge black lightning bolt shot down. All of the lightning was aiming at the 9 netherbird with extreme accuracy. The 9 netherbirds' eyes flashed with unyielding flames as it watched the endlessly falling lightning. It flapped its wings as the energy within its body was being completely mobilized. The black flames that looked like a flaming sea swept out, turning into a tornado as it ripped the horizon apart and was aimed towards the lightning bolts in an attempt to obstruct them. Two frightening powers clashed in the horizon. Energy ripples that were roughly 10,000 feet in height fluctuated out that even the space was instantly twisted. Any leakage of that energy was sufficient to instantly level this mountain range. Muen stood on the ground as he stared at the mad confrontation up in the sky. Both of his fists were tightly clenched and his body was tensed up. He could sense the defense of the nine netherbird was starting to weaken as the black lightning shot down even faster. Muen's pupils suddenly shrank and saw a huge lightning bolt shoot down from the horizon. It managed to pierce through the black flaming tornado and struck the nine netherbird. A deep groan sounded out. The body of the huge nine netherbird was pulled down by 1,000 feet with black smoke fuming from the spot that the lightning bolt had struck. Even with the black flames, it was still insufficient to recover the wound at a fast speed. The nine netherbird issued out a painful cry as its eyes looked as though they had turned scarlet red. Boom! Boom! And before the nine netherbird was enraged, the divine black thunder tribulation had entered into a frenzied state. The thunder clouds shrank and a black lightning bolt struck down. In that instant, even the heavens and earth were trembling at the frenzied tribulation. The nine netherbird's wings retracted together as it guarded its body. Black flames surged and it had actually formed layers of black crystals. On the crystal layers, there were black flames surging, looking extremely solid. Bang! Bang! The lightning pierced through the heavens and earth and struck the black crystal that surrounded the nine netherbird. As every lightning bolt fell, it would shatter layers of crystal. The body of the nine netherbird trembled, as though it had suffered a huge pain. The lightning wreaked havoc for a few minutes. When the crystal layers that surrounded the nine netherbird had been shattered, its slender and huge body was in a bad state to the point that there was fresh blood dripping from the nine netherbird's wings. Muen saw the sorry state of the nine netherbird and both of his fists were clenched even tighter. The divine black thunder tribulation was strong to the extent that every single lightning bolt was capable of reducing heavenly fusion stage experts into ashes. But looking at the current situation, if this continued, it was definitely impossible for the nine netherbird to endure it. Under Muen's nervous gaze, up in the sky, the nine netherbird paid no attention to its gravely injured body. It raised its head, issuing a prideful cry. Even if it was fated to die today, it won't yield to the divine black thunder tribulation. Boom! The lightning was simply merciless as the annihilating lightning bolts continued to strike down without any mercy. However, just when the lightning was about to land onto the body of the nine netherbird, something suddenly shot out, leaving a fine streak of light. The streak of light hovered above the nine netherbird, and formed a huge pair of wings that were spread out. The feather had a dark azure color with an endless light flowing from it. It stretched its wings that seemed to have covered the heavens and earth. The lightning mercilessly struck the feather, causing the light that flowed in it to dissipate by a lot. However, it still managed to endure and wasn't destroyed. What is that? Muen was slightly startled. The feather wasn't something that belonged to the nine netherbird. But it contained huge power that was capable of enduring several blows from the lightning bolts. When the nine netherbird saw the situation, it was shocked. However, it immediately started to recover from its wounds. It was well aware that although the feather was formidable, it could only withstand the lightning bolts for a small while. In the end, the nine netherbird still had to rely on itself to pass through this tribulation. The divine black thunder tribulation suddenly became furious as it sensed that this item wasn't something that belonged to the nine netherbird. And it was extremely hateful towards external interference. Boom! Boom! Because of that, the divine black thunder tribulation started to wiggle and huge lightning bolts constantly hacked down. Faced with the enraged hacking of the divine black thunder tribulation, the feather started to dull down and, in the end, it was reduced to dust by the divine lightning. When the feather was reduced to dust, the nine netherbird issued a cry towards the sky. Its boiling blood was dripping from its body, but its eyes still remained clear. When it issued its cry, Muen could see the wounds on the nine netherbird's body flashed across with a faint purple luster. It seemed to be a strand of weak purple flames. Those purple flames were hidden within the black flames and were naturally hard to be detected. However, Muen still saw that as the purple flames appeared, the wounds on the body of the nine netherbird were rapidly being healed to the point that even the remnant lightning energy that was on its wounds could not obstruct it. Those are the undying flames. Muen stared at the fine purple flames as his pupils shrank. With his current understanding towards the nine netherbird, it natural that he knew that only the undying flames that were born within the body of the primordial undying bird could disregard the injury of the thunder tribulation and recover its body. However, the undying flames were the speciality of the undying bird. Although the nine netherbird possessed a little of the undying bird's bloodline, it was, after all, too thin to be sufficient to awaken the undying flames. But, right now, the undying flames had actually appeared from the body of the nine netherbird. This meant that the undying bird's blood that was contained within its body far surpassed an ordinary nine netherbird. Muen's gaze flickered. It seemed like the nine netherbird wasn't an ordinary kind in its clan. Having its wounds being rapidly healed, the nine netherbird's unyielding flames that were blazing within its eyes became even richer. It raised its head, looked at the thundercloud that was shrinking and the destructive energy that was in the divine black thunder tribulation becoming even more fearsome. The nine netherbird knew that the divine black thunder tribulation was gathering its strongest energy, preparing to wipe it out from the face of this world. Even when it faced the power that could destroy itself, the nine netherbird still raised its prideful head. Its huge pair of wings lightly flapped and, among the black flames, faint traces of purple flames appeared. The cry was directed towards the divine black thunder tribulation, issuing its final challenge. Up in the heavens, the black thunder clouds were rapidly gathering. The thunder clouds did not issue any thunderous sounds, but the pressure that it issued had caused the heavens and earth to freeze. Anyone could sense how terrifying the perishing storm would be after the silence. The nine netherbird flapped its wings as its black flames surged. In the depths of the black flames, fine purple flames fluctuated. Although they were small and hard to detect, they emitted a surge of mysterious power. On the grounds below, Muen's gaze turned extremely grave. Under that pressure, he could sense the spiritual energy within his body had stopped circulating. He was well aware that the next attack from the divine black thunder tribulation would be the last, and if the nine netherbird could withstand it, then it would succeed its tribulation and shred its spiritual body, and evolve into a divine beast. By truly shredding itself from the category of a spiritual beast, and becoming the powerful divine beast that was comparable to sovereigns, it would possess endless prospects as well. However, if it couldn't withstand it, it would have failed. Although the nine netherbird possessed the bloodline of the undying bird, it couldn't escape death every single time. The slightest mistake would cause it to be destroyed. Once the nine netherbird was destroyed, Muen, who had a bloodline bond with it, would also suffer terrifying injuries, or even death. In this outcome, it would be extremely tragic for both Muen and the nine netherbird. But at this timing, Muen was also helpless. The thunder tribulation was too terrifying to the point that even a sovereign wouldn't dare to challenge it. Not to mention that he was just a puny quasi-heavenly transformation stage. Probably even if he had exerted all his means, it wouldn't be able to shake it. Nine netherbird, go for it. Muen's fists were clenched as he muttered. The suppressed atmosphere engulfed the heavens and earth. The black thunder clouds that had originally shrouded the heavens and earth of 10,000 feet had shrunk down to 100 feet. But the color was even more dense and, looking from afar, it was like a black hole that was slowly revolving. The black thunder clouds that were roughly 100 feet in size suddenly wiggled. At the center, the thunder clouds were revolving and were caving in, bit by bit. At the center of the dent, the black-colored lightning bolts were gathering together. The black-colored lightning bolts seemed to be like sinister black dragons that were slowly wiggling about. Boom! At the center of the dent, a black-colored lightning bolt abruptly shot out. It was like a black-colored divine light that had pierced through the horizon. The destructive power spread, and the area that was swept by the black-colored light seemed to decompose spiritual energy. The entire heavens and earth were in silence as the black divine light roared as it shot down, like a deity that had been enraged. The black flames were blazing within the eyes of the nine netherbird. It suddenly issued a cry, and the flames that were compressed together shot up into the sky, and turned into a black-colored feather that was roughly 1,000 feet in size. On the feather, it looked as though profound runes were being carved on it. The black flames had ascended and were extremely abnormal. Facing that terrifying attack of the divine black thunder tribulation, the nine netherbird also exerted all of its power and lashed out with the most frightening move it had. As the black feather shot out, it pierced through the space and heavily clashed with the black-colored divine light that had shot down from the heavens. At that instant, the two forces clashed, even the light between the heavens and earth seemed to have been sucked in. Only a black-colored light was spreading out in the sky and shrouded the area in a 100-mile radius. Bang! Bang! The mountains were being swept through and instantly turned into ashes, one after another. Looking from above, everything within 100 miles was leveled to ground as each mountain range was being wiped out. Such destructive power had made those that were watching it feel a chill in their hearts. Muen did not have any startling thoughts as he fixed his eyes on the far horizon. A black light had gathered and was slowly pressing down. As its pressure pressed down, fine cracks started to appear. The power of the divine black thunder tribulation was too powerful. Muen's heart jumped as his eyes shrank. As more and more cracks appeared on the black feather, it finally could not endure anymore, and under the black-colored divine light and a sharp sound, it shattered. As the black feather crumbled, the black light was unblockable and was whistling down under Muen's gaze. It attacked the enormous body of the netherbird. The cry that suddenly resounded was extremely sharp. The huge body of the netherbird rapidly fell and heavily landed on a mountain range far away. Bang! It felt like an earthquake had happened as a surging wave swept out. At the location that the netherbird had fallen, the surrounding range of 10,000 feet had instantly crumbled. Deep cracks were frantically spreading on the ground. The vast mountain range was also instantly destroyed. Muen flew into the sky and escaped that terrifying impact. He quickly rushed over and, at the center of the crater, the smoke was spreading and started to dissipate, bit by bit. The scene within was shown to Muen. In the huge crater, the netherbird was lying down in a terrible state. The black-colored feathers on its body were destroyed and no longer had the gracefulness that it once had. Countless savage wounds were revealed on its body as fresh blood flowed out, instantly dyeing the ground in red. Muen's gaze was fixed on the netherbird that was not moving in the blood pool. The netherbirds face was pale and Muen immediately landed at the location of the netherbird. He stuck his palm out, injecting his spiritual energy into the body of the netherbird. Under the injection of spiritual energy, the netherbird that was lying in the blood pool finally trembled. It managed to open its eyes a little as a weak intent spread out. "I've managed to succeed." When Muen saw that the netherbird was still alive, only then did he feel relieved. He raised his head and his face abruptly changed. Up in the sky, the dissipating black thunder clouds were still flickering with a black light. There was still some remnant destructive ripples in it. Boom! The black thunder clouds rumbled and a black lightning bolt shot down. However, that divine lightning bolt was clearly just a remnant energy and, compared to before, it was much weaker. At this point of time, the netherbird was already at the edge and could die at any time. If that lightning bolt struck it right now, it would probably be dead. The netherbird seemed to have sensed this situation and immediately struggled up. However, it didn't have any energy left nor blood to fill its body, and started to emit despair in its eyes. After working hard for so many years, was it all still in vain? Repeatedly fighting and, in the end, still failed? Muen looked at the despair in the netherbbird's eyes. He couldn't help clenching his fist and, shortly after, with his teeth clenched, his figure moved. He appeared above the netherbird and with a bark, his hand signs changed. A majestic spiritual energy gathered behind him and turned into a huge white tiger. The white tiger stood on the starry sky and ran, along with inexhaustible killing intent as it charged towards the last black lightning bolt. Bang! Even with such a powerful attack, the instant it came in contact with the black lightning, it was only an instant before the black lightning tore the white tiger apart. Boom! The speed of the black lightning was fast as it had destroyed the white tiger in just an instant and appeared above Muen. Without the slightest leniency, it had struck Muen's body. The black lightning had sensed the similar ripples from the netherbird and, naturally, it wouldn't let Muen off. Bang! Muen had been struck by the lightning bolt and a mouthful of blood spurted out. His body was covered by the violent lightning. Thereafter, he fell, landing not too far away from the netherbird, and the ground beneath it had directly crumbled. When the netherbird saw the situation, it instantly issued a painful and low cry. Trembling as it stretched both of its wings that was filled with wounds, it tried to save Muen, who was covered in black lightning. However, the 9 netherbird's wounds were too heavy. The instant it moved, intense pain spread out and had nearly submerged its last bit of consciousness. As the last lightning bolt landed, the black thunder clouds up in the sky had thoroughly dissipated. The instant the thunder clouds dissipated, the 9 netherbird's body instantly burst forth with dazzling light. That light was extremely bizarre as it shrouded the 9 netherbird. Under the shining light, the terrible wounds on the 9 netherbird were healed, little by little. Has the tribulation finally succeeded? The 9 netherbird muttered to itself as its eyes were filled with emotions. It could sense that a huge change started to occur within its body. This was a genuine evolution. From body to bloodline. The evolution caused it to be extremely happy. However, it could see the figure that was shrouded with lightning not far away. Muen's strength was too weak and was impossible for him to bear the black lightning, even if it was just a remnant energy from the divine black thunder tribulation. However, when it was anxious, it saw that the figure that wasn't far away had trembled. The black lightning on his body started to dissipate. He crawled up with great difficulty and with a bend, fresh blood uncontrollably spurted out from his mouth. He was on the verge of collapsing and clearly, he had suffered great injuries. Damn it, I nearly died. Muen's face was as pale as paper as he kneeled on the ground. He wiped the trace of blood at the corner of his mouth. Lowering his head, he looked at his palm as a smear of light flashed through his eyes and muttered, "It's all thanks to this thunder god physique, otherwise I would have died." 9 netherbird. As he muttered, he also sensed the dazzling light before him. He immediately raised his head and saw the huge body of the 9 netherbird being covered by the divine light and started to shrink. The body turned smaller and smaller. In the end, it shrank into the light. Muen narrowed his eyes from the brightness and he could not see the scene clearly. The light lasted for a long time, before it weakened down. As the light weakened, Muen's eyes also widened. Within the light, there was a jade-like naked body. Her figure was graceful and her pair of jade legs were slender and slim. Smooth and stretched taut, she was extremely sexy. On top of her jade legs, she was supporting a waist and on top of that, there was a snow-white neck that was similar to a swan's. Her rosy lips lightly lifted, showing her charming faint purple eyes. With wildness that could make a man's heart aroused. Muen was dumbfounded as he muttered, "Sure enough it was a female." Title: Tribulation succeeded. On the messy ground, the beautiful lady's nude body flickered with a jade-like luster. The temptation from her could make any man unable to shift their gaze from her. However, the beautiful lady that was before him wasn't sweet-tempered. When she heard Muen's muttering, her brows knitted together. Her figure moved, a fragrance swept over and Muen's body was knocked into the rock behind him. Thereafter, a fragile yet tight body stuck to him. At the same time, her slender jade-like hands grabbed Muen's throat. "Do you believe that I won't kill you?" Her voice was clear, like a spring stream streaking down the mountain, mixed with a cold temperature, causing the spring to be a little cold as well. Muen leaned against the rock, facing her threats. He couldn't help flinging his mouth as he said in helplessness, "Kill me, then." It seemed like even though she had taken a human form, the 9 netherbirds' character still didn't know any tenderness. The beautiful lady before him smiled. Her jade-like hands gently touched Muen's face as she smiled tenderly, "Considering your previous action by withstanding that last lightning strike, I'll not bother about you taking advantage of me." Muen felt funny and extremely embarrassed. He couldn't help shrinking his body to prevent himself from coming into contact with that body. Her body was certainly sexy and filled with wildness. She was like a female leopard that could easily evoke the temptation of men. "Can you wear some clothes? Although you're a 9 netherbird, you're in human form right now. So it's still best if you take note of it," said Muen. This advantage wasn't something that he wanted to take. Human forms are so troublesome. The 9 netherbird shook her head. Lustrous light surged over her body and some green-black clothing formed, covering all the spots that were revealed. Even with those clothes, her graceful physique looked extremely tempting, with her slender, yet fine waist and ample chest. Only then did Muen feel relieved. That nearly wanted his life. Your tribulation should have succeeded, right? Muen looked towards the nine netherbird and hesitated a little before adding on, I still don't know your name. Am I supposed to keep calling you nine netherbird? Call me nine nether, then. As she had successfully passed through the divine Black Thunder tribulation, she was extremely happy. She smiled as she patted Muen's shoulders. In the future, let this older sister take care of you. However, it was still impossible right now. Nine Nether suddenly frowned her brows and added, I still have not completed the last step. What? Muen asked in doubt. Although I have successfully gone through the tribulation, my physical body still has yet to evolve into the physique of a divine beast. Therefore, for a period of time, I'll be in a slumber to evolve my physical body. Wait till I appear again, then I would have successfully evolved into a nine netherworld bird. Nine Nether's eyes, filled with ambition, surged forth with anticipation. Nine netherworld bird, Muen nodded. That should be the evolved state of the nine netherbird. Although there was a word difference, spiritual beasts and divine beasts were extreme opposites. In the period of time that I'm asleep, don't lose that life of yours. We are contracted through the bloodline bond, so I don't want to suffer a backlash from the bloodline bond unknowingly, after I'd just succeeded the tribulation. Nine Nether's eyes glanced at Muen as she said. Muen felt a little regretful. He thought that he could have a powerful bodyguard, who could have thought that she would need to be in a deep slumber. If that's the case, didn't he lose a trump card instead? In this period of time, if you can't afford to offend, then hide. Wait until I wake up, I'll kill everyone that's bullied you. Understood? Nine Nether smiled tenderly. I'm not that weak. Muen said helplessly. Okay then, I'll start. You should leave after waiting a while. The commotion caused by my tribulation was too huge. I'm afraid that it'd be noticed by those old fellas of the Northern Heaven Spiritual Academy and they might come over to take a look. Nine Nether reminded him before the black flames surged over her body, while her long and narrow eyes streaked with traces of the mysterious purple flames. The raging black flames rose, turning into a light screen as it shrouded Nine Nether. The black flames started to solidify, bit by bit, before turning into a huge black egg that was roughly the size of a human's height. Feathery winged runes appeared on the huge black egg. They were ancient and cryptic as the flickering purple light could be vaguely seen. When Muen saw that Nine Nether had turned into a huge egg, having fallen into a deep slumber to start her last evolution, he made a waving action and stored the egg in his mustard seed bracelet. It seemed like, for a period of time in the near future, he could only depend on himself. However, he was filled with anticipation. When Nine Nether wakes up, with her strength, she should be able to contend against sovereigns, right? At that time, this bodyguard of his would be very powerful. Time to leave. Muen took another glance at the chaotic land, before making a move, soaring up into the sky and made several flickering moves before disappearing into the horizon. Roughly half an hour later after Muen had left, a breeze brushed against a destroyed mountain peak. A bald old man that was holding some crutches appeared. His muddy gaze looked at the direction that Muen left in as a trace of astonishment flashed across his old face. That small nine netherbird actually had such a dense bloodline of the undying bird. Seems like a genius has appeared in the nine netherbirds clan. Who knows, that small nine netherbird might be able to evolve into the primordial undying bird. But she actually made a bloodline bond contract with a small human, which could be her fatality. If those old monsters of the nine netherbird clan were to know of this matter, they'd probably be enraged. Ha ha. The bald old man softly laughed. As his laughter resounded, his body started to turn illusionary before he completely disappeared. The land was restored to its silence. However, this silence was only maintained for half an hour before the space lightly rippled again. Shortly after, several figures appeared out of thin air. These few figures' hairs were white and they had solemn expressions. Although there weren't any powerful ripple fluctuations around them, a frightening amount of pressure was emitting from them. Among them, Elder Zhu Tian was also present. At this moment, his face was grave as he looked at the heavy destruction on the land with fearsome black lightning energy still lingering around. It's the divine black lightning, an elder of the Northern Heaven Spiritual Academy said with a solemn look in his eyes as he continued. There was actually a spiritual beast that underwent the divine black thunder tribulation here. Hearing the 4 words, divine black thunder tribulation, Elder Zhu Qian's face, as well as everyone else's, could not help changing expressions. They naturally understood the might of that lightning tribulation. The moment they succeeded the tribulation, the spiritual beast would be able to evolve into a genuine divine beast that was comparable to a sovereign. Even in the Northern Heavens continent, this kind of existence was considered the apex. But they never thought that it would appear within the surroundings of their Northern Heaven Spiritual Academy. Furthermore, they had not sensed any powerful spiritual beasts hidden in the surrounding mountain ranges of the Northern Heaven Spiritual Academy after all these years. However, looking at the traces of blood scattered on the ground, that spiritual beast might have failed its tribulation and was reduced to nothing under the divine black thunder tribulation. Elder Zhu Qian looked at the destroyed ground. Although he did not witness the scene with his own eyes, he could sense the fearsome confrontation that happened here. What a pity! The other elders also felt pity as they sighed. The cultivation of the spiritual beasts took much longer compared to the humans. Who knew how many months and years were needed for a spiritual beast to cultivate till the divine black thunder tribulation? But now, under the ruthlessness of the divine black thunder tribulation, it had turned into ashes and no longer existed. However, even if that unknown spiritual beast might have been killed by the lightning tribulation, we still have to report this to the Dean. Elder Zhu Qian's brows knitted. Recently, the movements of the demonic dragon palace in the Northern Heavens continent has increased. Those fellows have already viewed our Northern Heaven Spiritual Academy as their mortal enemies. The moment an opportunity arises, they will probably create a huge threat to our Northern Heaven Spiritual Academy. Therefore, we have to be cautious. The other elders solemnly nodded in agreement. The name of the demonic dragon palace had quite a bit of pressure to them. This force had nearly unified the entire Northern Heavens continent to the point that even the surrounding continents was affected by their power. Back then, if it wasn't for the sudden change in the demonic dragon palace, in addition to their Northern Heaven Spiritual Academy having Lord Northern Sea, the outcome of the battle would have been hard to tell who'd have been victorious. Let's go. Elder Zhu Qian no longer spoke, and with a wave of his sleeve, several figures flashed out, and in several breaths, they had disappeared. The heavens and earth had its peace, once again, restored. Only the destroyed ground proved the terrifying clash. Muen returned to the Northern Heaven Spiritual Academy without any obstructions, and returned to the freshman's area. His face was still a little pale. Although the divine black lightning was not able to claim his life, due to the thunder god physique that he had cultivated, it still caused quite a big injury to him. Therefore, he had to quickly recover from his injury. As there was only 3 days left before the hunting war, he had to be in top form. Muen's body landed on the small building. Shortly after, his expression changed as he saw a black-dressed beauty that was smiling at him. When Muen saw her, a gentle smile appeared on his handsome face. He couldn't help going to her and embracing that girl into his bosom. Having that warmth and fragrance in his embrace, he couldn't help feeling at ease. Luo Li also lightly smiled. She complied as she leaned her face into his chest. Her pointed nose lightly sniffed, and shortly after, her gem-like eyes narrowed. Muen seemed to have a faint fragrance on him, and, based on her intuition, she knew that it was the scent of another woman. Muen, who was still enjoying the warmth and fragrance, also sensed Luo Li's state. His heart jumped and felt panic. Who is she? Luo Li's exquisite and porcelain-like face had the look of a dangerous smile. Her voice was gentle, but it gave Muen a headache. Her sensing of smell of a woman was, indeed, frightening. This video will end here.